Welcome to our Arsenal preview. Hello everybody watching. Get in the comments, tell us what you think, and I will throw your questions to Paul, to Adam and to Ian and his colourful pen that he's particularly excited
so many
about.
colours.
Okay, we're going to get started. It's Arsenal, it's a massive game. We're still unbeaten in the league. Is this the one where we come unstuck? Adam, I'm coming to you straight away. Arsene Wenger, Jose Mourinho, they've got a huge history. There was the Voyer comment, there was the specialist in failure. How important is that coming into this particular game for Mourinho from a Manchester United fan perspective? Go.
Just don't lose this game, please. Look, I know Celta Vigo has taken on some more importance now because of the result against Swansea, but just don't lose this game. And that's the one thing that keeps me positive that Jose will go into this game looking to win, is that it's Arsene Wenger that he's going up against. And Arsenal aren't in the best of form, to be honest with them. So it's a game that we could win, and we should probably be winning given our form. But with the way the Europa League's mapping out, with the injuries that we picked up at the end of that game, I can see there being a lot of changes in the team, and as a result losing a lot of rhythm. And that worries me ahead of the game, because we know if Arsenal do click, then they're a danger against any side. So that's a little bit worrying. But the rivalry between Jose Mourinho and Arsene Wenger is something that keeps me positive that we'll get a result. Jose Mourinho hates him. I think it's more of something that he doesn't hate him. He hates the fact that this guy has been in a job for so long, battling at the top of the league, never come under any pressure or criticism really for his job. Should have been sacked, would have been sacked by Chelsea, United, City, Liverpool, any other club in the top 10 probably, but he hasn't. And I think Jose kind of hates that he gets so much pressure thrown onto his head, despite the fact that he has won countless titles, trophies, and he's still been sacked a couple of times as well. And I think that must really piss him off, that he has to entertain questions about things like that. And you can tell he just don't like Arsene Wenger either. I wouldn't mind there being a little something on the sidelines, though. It'll heat you up on the pitch, and I think if it did turn into a battle, United would win.
Okay, Ian, you're something of an expert in the world of psychology. Who do you think has the psychological edge when it comes to a Wenger-Mourinho battle? Do you think that matters when the players get on the pitch?
I think it might matter a bit, because really I think Mourinho's in the stronger position. As much as they're both not in an amazing position, if Arsene Wenger loses this match, it's surely starting to get untenable that he stays at Arsenal. Because if they lose, they can't make the top four. I don't know if it's 100% like mathematically, but if they lose, then they don't make the Champions League, and it marks a real regression for Arsene Wenger. Whereas if Mourinho loses,
is it better to not be in the Champions League when you always go out at the last 16 anyway?
Money talks.
I don't think the fans would look at it that way. I think you've got to especially because Arsene Wenger's always made up for the fact that they haven't won trophies by saying we've consistently been in Champions League football. If he doesn't make it, then the fans are well within their rights to be well, hang on a second, what positive thing are you bringing to this club? We're not winning trophies, and we're not even in the Champions League now. But yeah, I think if Mourinho loses, there's no real pressure. There's the pressure on the Europa League, but I don't think there'll be pressure from the United board necessarily. So it's going to be really nerve-wracking for Arsenal. But at the same time, I think Arsenal could be very dangerous because they are a good squad. And I think inevitably when you come up against Man United, everyone tries very hard, which is very frustrating. And also, I don't think they're going to have poor form for ages. It's not going to carry on. They're still dangerous. So I don't know. I do think there's more at stake for Arsenal here. But yeah, I think Mourinho is going to want to beat him. Okay. And I think if we do, we could still have a chance at the top four.
Paul, I saw you nodding. I'd love to hear your comments. Join in.
I did some nodding. I think this is a rivalry based in genuine antipathy. I don't think this is. I think they really just don't like each other. I think you saw, was it last season when Wenger shoved Mourinho on the touchline? Some of the stuff that Mourinho said about Wenger has been just really nasty, and probably some of it kind of unfair and some of it brutally fair. And I'm sure that Wenger really dislikes Mourinho because Mourinho's just been someone who said absolutely horrendous things about him for years and years and years on end. So I imagine there's a real rivalry there. I mean, on the pitch, how much that's going to affect the players, I don't know. I mean, we've seen that the Guardiola-Mourinho rivalry doesn't seem to have done anything much for the City United dynamic this season, and it was pretty quiet between Wenger and Mourinho earlier this season. And in a way, it's the same as the Guardiola situation. They've both got bigger problems than each other, and so in a way, the intensity of the rivalry is slightly offset by the fact that they're not really competing for anything particularly glamorous. They're competing for who's having the least worst season. The answer of which is obviously United are having much less of a bad season than Arsenal are, because United could claim to be rebuilding and have won a trophy and got to at least the European semi-final. So,
Okay, well, I'd like to throw some comments at you, but no one's really worrying about it too much. Okay, Crash though says there's no harm in losing the game, but it will hurt Jose's ego tremendously if he loses to Arsene Wenger. I suppose that's fair, isn't it?
I think it is. It is fair, but Jose's got the kind of automatic defence mechanism of but I didn't really care that much, and if we'd really cared, I'd have beaten him. And for Mourinho, like, all he needs is to be able to emerge with his ego intact. Like when we lost to Chelsea the second time in the FA Cup, that wasn't really a blow to Mourinho's ego because he could say, it was an unjust red card and we gave it our all and it was unlucky that we lost. And I feel like with this one, if he loses, it's not going to be a massive blow because he'll just go, I don't care about this. I was just trying to win the Europa League.
Yeah.
He's already said that he's going to make a lot of changes as well, which I think he will. Probably not as much as it's maybe suggesting, but also that's got to be just like a way of digging into Arsene Wenger when it's like, this is such an important game of the season for Arsenal and you're battling a rival for the top four. It's a huge game, and Jose is just like, probably rest some players for this. Like, it's just such a, I don't know if we can swear, but it's such a FU to Arsenal, just like,
But it's also perhaps, as Paul suggested, perhaps that's a defence to, well, if we lose that game, well, look, we were playing Tuanzebe. You can suggest it wasn't our first team out there. Of course we were going to
Jose played Tuanzebe.
Yeah, that's not going to be what he's saying.
Now, in the comments, there are a lot of people talking about who will play and who won't play. We saw Marcus Rashford limp off against Celta Vigo, and Anthony Martial came on and played as a centre forward. So, if Rashford is missing for the trip to the Emirates, who do you go with, Wayne Rooney or Anthony Martial as your number 9? Adam McCullough.
Anthony Martial.
I'm just going to take a wild stab at a dark and predict what Adam's going to say here.
Anthony Martial all day long. I think Tony Martial, he played in the number 9 position against Burnley. He did well there as well. He showed that he was willing to drop deep for the team. His goal came from that position. When he picked up the ball, I'd say it was within 15, 20 yards of the 18-yard box, and he picked up the ball, showed great pace, great awareness, and followed on as well and got onto the pass from Herrera to score the goal. And I think if we play him against Arsenal, against their defenders that they do have, I think he'll be able to stretch them. I think he'll be able to cause them problems. And I think we'll be able to find space for him in behind their defenders quite a lot. They're at home. The onus is on them to come out and attack against us. And I feel that in every game, Manchester City away, Liverpool away, we haven't yet gone to Spurs away. We've got Arsenal away. In all these games, Chelsea away as well, I know we conceded an early goal, but we kind of seem to go there and play for a 1-0 result, defend and hit them on the counter-attack. And I feel we're going to do that again, which kind of, I don't think that will help us at all, because I think we need to utilise the pace of players like Martial that we do have. Of course, you can do that on the counter-attack. But the way we've been playing recently, when we have been sitting deep, is we're moving the ball far too slow. Now, obviously, Paul Pogba's back, and I think his return against, who was it midweek? Sorry, fucking hell. What they're called? Celta Vigo. His return against Celta Vigo, I think it showed exactly what we've been missing. So if we played Pogba and Martial, I think we'd be onto a good way of possibly getting that 1-0 counter-attacking win. But if we don't have Pogba in there, it is a worry. As for Wayne Rooney, I would start him. Obviously, you'll see my full 11 later on, but I'd start Wayne Rooney. I just wouldn't start him as the number 9. He doesn't have it in his legs. He can't stretch a defence. He can't run in behind him. He can only run deep. His first touch is often very poor. His second touch is often a tackle. So I don't feel we should be putting Wayne Rooney up top. Of course, he can play deeper, but I just hope he doesn't keep slowing the game down with them long raking balls that are great to watch, but they slow the game down, and we need less of that.
Well, I hope Wayne Rooney's not watching, because if he is, he's probably feeling pretty sad right now. Although a lot of people in the comments want to play.
I'll be honest, man.
I'm only joking. Paul, do you think there is any kind of debate to be had, or should just Anthony Martial be the player that starts as number 9? Should Rashford be unavailable?
I think it's really straightforward, and I think Mourinho thinks it's really straightforward. Mm-hmm. It's interesting when you watch games when Rooney's on the bench, you still hear commentators kind of almost being like, "Oh, Rooney's on the bench, like they could bring him on, that might make a difference." And anyone that's been paying attention to United for the last 3 years knows that there's no chance whatsoever Rooney should be playing up front. One of the people that knows that is Jose Mourinho. Against Burnley, Martial and Rooney were both in the starting 11. You're wondering which way round it's going to be, and immediately, as soon as the kick-off, you see that Rooney's playing wide left, because Rooney doesn't really stay in one place. And Martial's playing through the middle. There really isn't a debate to be had here, I wouldn't say.
Okay, well, I'm going to change it up then. I'm going to come to you, Ian, with some of the things that people are writing in the comments. A lot of people are saying that if Rooney plays, I'd like to see him playing in number 10. But I've also got Kieran is one person saying Mata should be playing in the 10, and Ian says Rooney. But someone else a minute ago lost the guy. But someone wanted to see Henrik Mkhitaryan playing in that number 10 position, whether that's behind Rashford or Martial. Ian, please discuss those options for Manchester United and your preference.
Okay, so, I mean, it's difficult with the whole resting player situation, because Mata, I think, over Rooney is easily a much more natural number 10. I still think Rooney behind Martial has the capability to find some great through balls, pick a pass for Martial to run on. The problem then, if you're resting certain players, is there's no one else. There's no quick people either side of him. It's not like Rashford up top and you're having Martial and Mkhitaryan or Lingard either side. So it could just become really isolated, especially if you play Mata and Rooney, because you're rotating the squad. You don't really have a lot of pace there, and you're kind of relying on finding the right ball for Martial. I guess that's the thing at the minute. It's just what do we play against Celta Vigo? Because as much as I still think there's a chance of the top 4, it's going to rely on the games against Arsenal and Tottenham. And then even saying that, you would have thought that we would beat Swansea, but we didn't. And so I think you just take Mkhitaryan out of the equation, really. Lingard I could maybe see playing, because I kind of think Martial should be starting, really, if he's playing as well as he can. So you could maybe play Mkhitaryan or Lingard and then not play one of them in Europe. But Mkhitaryan's been disappointing towards the end of the season. He had a little burst, but maybe he should be playing as a number 10. But when he was at Dortmund, he was on the right side of the pitch. So I think that's where he should be playing, really, where he excelled and where we bought him from. One thing that I do think is kind of interesting is I find Mourinho's comments about the attackers and Luke Shaw. Sometimes you can listen to it and think, "Oh, this is really dangerous," because he's going to do what he did at Chelsea and maybe lose the dressing room a bit. But then you see the players and you kind of think he's got almost every single one of these criticisms spot on. People aren't performing up front, the amount of chances that we miss. But I do wonder if maybe he was nicer and more encouraging or better man management, then maybe people wouldn't be terrified every time they're taking those opportunities. But yeah, so my short answer to that is it's all about squad rotation, and I think Matt and Rooney on the same pitch offers not a lot of pace, and yeah, I don't know.
Incredible score, isn't it?
I will say, Adam, I'm going to ask you to comment on what Ian said and talk about number 10, because a lot of people are talking about it. The tech sock wants Ian to play as number 10. But I do think
I'll do it.
The general media criticism of Mourinho criticising players comes from the same collective of media individuals that also criticise young football players for thinking they've done it all already and living in a world where they're wrapped up in cotton wool and earn loads of money and no one tells them the truth. And then when Mourinho says
the same side of the media that
they get smashed. It makes no sense.
Anyway. I mean, it's a different job though, isn't it? It's reporting on the game and being the manager of the players. They're quite different jobs.
I would agree.
The media are just twats, aren't they? I mean, we should talk about how many goalkeepers we're going to be linked to.
Just one huge umbrella.
They are, though, in general. Everyone. Oh, hang on a second. Are we the media?
Print, internet.
Newspaper journalists.
You're a Wankerian.
Well, I mean, actually, that's a fair point. Well, I just think it's so frustrating when you read papers. They're like, young players, this, and then Mourinho criticises a poor young player. Like, yeah, they just want. And also, can I just say, as a very quick debate, which we maybe don't have time for, I personally think, and maybe I'm wrong, if we sign Joe Hart, I think I'm gonna go into Old Trafford. I'm gonna start punching people.
I'm gonna stab myself.
I was gonna go into the merch store and just punch loads of tourists. Joe Hart. He's
just empty cans of Mr. Potato all over the megastore.
Oh. Yeah. If it happened, I'd spit out my Nissan noodles. Ian, not Ian. I'm sick of you. You've been talking for ages. Paul, Adam, the pair of you, have a little chat. What do you think about who should play number 10? And I think what Ian said about Mourinho criticising players is actually quite interesting. So if you have any thoughts, please air them now, and then we'll do teams.
Yeah, I mean, you go first, Adam.
No, you go first.
I think the criticism of the team thing is a really interesting topic, and I think next season will tell us whether it was a good idea or not, because there have been some spikes in performances after he's criticised players publicly, but I think, Ian mentioned Mkhitaryan's kind of gone off the boil in the last third of the season, and I think some of that is to do with the way Mourinho's handled him and talked about him, because at Dortmund he was very clearly always a confidence player. In terms of the number 10 spot, I think what we're likely to see, well, I don't know if we're likely to see this, what I've put in my 11 based on the kind of theory that we're going to rest a bunch of players is front four of Rooney, Mata, Mkhitaryan and Martial, and they'll be very fluid. So, who is theoretically playing at number 10 doesn't really matter if you've got Rooney and Mata on the pitch, because they'll both end up in that space anyway. And so actually the problem then is you get overloads and not enough space on the wings. So fullbacks are going to need to be really on it.
Well, now I feel optimistic. Adam.
Yeah, I think similar to what Paul said. I hope we don't see Wayne Rooney deeper than number 10. So I'd like to see him in that area, but I'd also like to see Juan Mata starting. I think it's about time he got a start. I'm not sure what the situation is with his injury, with his groin, but he was running around after the Swansea game. He's been involved in squads, so surely if he's at that stage, he can now start a game. So I'd like to see him start against Arsenal, Juan Mata. And if it came down to a choice of the two, I'd go with Juan Mata. But I expect both players to start in this game. Anthony Martial for me has to be up top. The thing with Rooney and Mata, and I know Ian touched on it before, is very slow. So we need to bring pace in around them, whether that's Rashford and Marshall, Lingard and Marshall, or Mickey and Marshall, whatever it is. We need to bring pace in around them because they have the tendency to be very slow. If we add Carrick into the mix as well, then that's super slow. So I don't want to see slow football, because that's when Arsenal punish you, and you kind of just you bring it onto you. If we play with those clumsy passes around the middle of the park and we get broken, that's where we're going to get caught out. I imagine Darmian's going to play. Darmian had an awful time at the Emirates a year ago. So you think that there are threats to Manchester United's defence? Our defence is already in you know, I know we've got Smalling and Jones back, but it's Smalling and Jones coming back, not Rio and Vidic. So
this all started with you being asked who's going to play at number 10, and you're like, we've gone all the way back to Jones and Smalling now at this point.
I just started selecting the whole team, but
yeah,
it's like, yeah, man, I don't want to. It goes back to that. I don't want to see it be slow. If Wayne Rooney is the only slow player in the team, I'm happy with Wayne Rooney starting. But if it's like down the spine, you've got these slow, clumsy players, then it's going to affect the whole team.
Adam, don't upset yourself. We'll do the teams. Ian, I'll start with you. There's no more comments really to mention right now because they've gone weird since I read out the one saying that you should play number 10. Jas has written, Ian would run through walls for Jose, and AK has written, Ian for Theresa May.
Oh, I'd love to be. I think I'd do a better job at running the country than Theresa May.
Yeah, you would.
I know nothing about anything.
Ian, your team. Tell us your team.
She can't even eat a cone full of chips without looking like a puppet that's been made for a horror film for kids. She looks weird. I don't like her. Anyway, what was the question?
What's your team?
So my team, I've messed up a bit. So De Gea back and goal. Then I've gone for Young, who is not available. And this defence is a bit mental, and I regret it. So I've gone for Young, Jones, Smalling, and Blind, which is big changes. I guess because Blind's our only real choice at left back, unless you go for Herrera and Valencia. And I think that might be what happens. That maybe Smalling and Blind start, and Herrera and Valencia stay on the pitch. I think Valencia's fit enough to play a couple of games, and they can take him off. But so it's all mixed up a bit. Then I've gone for Pogba, Herrera, Carrick. I think he'll keep Pogba in the squad. I don't think we have many more midfield options. And Rooney, Mata, and Martial, which I don't know how that would work, but this is me purely thinking about squad rotation. I think maybe Rooney will start, and maybe Mata. Now I'm thinking about it more. Mata will come out for either Mkhitaryan or Lingard. So my team selection is not what I've said, but that's what I think. Does that make sense?
No.
So I've gone for De Gea, Young, Jones, Smalling, Blind, Pogba, Herrera, Carrick, Rooney, Mata, Martial. But I'm going to take Mata out for Mkhitaryan, and I'm going to take Young and Jones out for Darmian and Valencia. I don't know. It's hard!
Well, that was weird. Paul, it's your turn. I will mention at this point that, of course, you did get a point each person for each correct answer. Ian, you have 7 points currently from your appearances on the previews so far.
Yes.
So, keep going. Paul, you've got 69. It's worth pointing out that last week for the Swansea
number
game,
of love.
Rachel got a perfect 11, which gave her a 30-point bonus. If you picked that up, Paul, you would fall 4 points behind current leader Adam McCullough.
I just set the record as well with getting 10.
4 points.
If he gets, he'd go ahead. If he gets his, because he'd get.
Oh.
What?
Wait, what? My points.
You get the 11. Game? He'd go ahead of you. If he gets his 11, he's going ahead of you.
Hold on, Sam.
Yeah.
Why have my points stayed still for about 3 weeks?
You're on 113 points.
Nah, that's wrong. That.
Get over it. Anyway,
as if the rules for this game weren't ridiculous enough. 30-point bonus for an 11. This is outrageous.
Question the rules. The rules are everything. Without the rules, there's chaos.
The rules help control the fun. Dave in goal. Isn't it weird that Dave is our squad rotation option? Life's weird. I've gone for a back four of Darmian, Smalling, Bailly and Blint because I think at least 3 of them will play. Not necessarily that I think that they will line up in that configuration. And I couldn't work out how else you could do it with the players that are injured, but I can't imagine Mourinho wants to play Bailly in this game at all. I went with Herrera and Carrick in the centre of the park, resting Pogba, and then Rooney, Mata and Lingard. So the reason for going with Lingard there is that I think he might not start against Celta Vigo at home. So I think he's had he's missed a lot of chances. He's kind of been involved in a lot of build-up play, but he hasn't He hasn't quite been doing the business in front of goal, has he? And the Mata Rooney thing, it's just a question of Mata can play in this game and then can play against Celta Vigo if he wants him. And Rooney's obviously going to play in this game because he's got no chance of playing against Celta Vigo. And Martial up front.
Cool. Adam.
I realise I made a massive, stupid mistake, but I hope it pays off for me anyway. Shit. Right. David De Gea in goal. Valencia, Smalling, Bailey, Blind. Pogba, Herrera, Rooney, Mata, Marshall, Rashford. I don't know why I picked Rashford.
But he's not confirmed this out, is he? So it's not impossible.
Yeah.
But it's probably unlikely considering...
It's like Bailey as well. Why did I pick Bailey? Like, stupid one. But knowing them and knowing Jose, they will probably start.
I want to see Chong. Okay. I want to see Tahith Chong and his big hair.
Well, we all do.
We've got Fellaini. You want to see big hair?
Angel Gomez up front.
Ian, that's what Google's for. Right, let's talk about Arsenal. Paul, what are the dangers of this current Arsenal side and how do we overcome them?
The dangers are they remember that they're footballers. And we overcome them by just whispering seeds of doubt into their ears. So just get Eric Bailly to kind of sidle up to Alexis Sanchez and go, "Your dogs aren't that good."
He'd be gutted.
I don't know. I think there is a very real chance that they will turn up in this game after having completely embarrassed themselves in the North London derby last week, because the pressure's kind of off Arsenal at this point. They can just play. We're going to field a slightly weakened team. The combination of those factors mean, I think, that they might turn up. I mean, everyone knows the kind of main threats. Sanchez is their second best player after Danny Welbeck. I'm only kidding. And Ozil, if he turns up, is devastating. I mean, he has done it to United before. His big game record is obviously the big question mark over him. They're really vulnerable in the centre of midfield. If we were going into this full strength, I'd be absolutely super optimistic about our team being able to just smash them to pieces, basically. I think we're a much better squad than Arsenal at the moment, and whatever the result of this game, I'd much rather be us than them at the moment.
Okay, Adam.
Yeah, I agree with what Paul said.
Don't sound very happy about it.
I just feel this. Oh man, it's just I hate losing against these lot, man. It's because like mentally they're weak, physically they're weak. We know how to beat them, but sometimes they turn up and play great football and give us a hiding like they did last season. And they've been playing shit all season, and I just know Sunday they're gonna turn up and they're gonna put in a neat performance. My only hope is we get up for this game. We get up for this game because it is a big game. Yes, I know there's not a lot riding on it. There's nothing riding on it, really. United aren't going to get top four. Arsenal aren't going to get top four. So if we win this game, it'd be mint, man. Just for like pissing people off on social media and stuff.
Just get on the Jose train. Get on the it doesn't matter anyway train. That's the emotional defence response here.
I think I'm like fine-tuned to like Vieira, Keane days, and it's like we can't lose these games, but it doesn't mean that anymore. Does it really matter? No. If we win the Europa League, we're in the Champions League anyway.
Well, does anything matter, Adam?
It'd be nice to make sure.
We will all be dust.
It'd be nice to make sure, that Arsenal go into the Europa League and keep Wenger for next season. They have to then deal with Thursday, Sunday. The fragility of their squad already. They're so weak. Can you imagine the havoc that the Europa League would wreak at Arsenal?
It's true.
It'd be beautiful.
Ian, Adam has suggested, what does it matter? One day the Resistance will melt down the Europa League trophy to build a sword against our alien overlords. But what do you think we should be doing to beat Arsenal?
Well, one, I would say that I think if we beat Arsenal, I think we've got a chance of top four. Because I think Liverpool and City, like, if we won our last games, I don't think there's any way. I don't think Liverpool and City are going to win all their last games. I think it's still up for grabs. But having said that, we probably won't make the top four. But yes, with Arsenal, obviously there's Sanchez. I could see Welbeck scoring against United just because that would be the most frustrating thing that could happen. So yeah, they have danger. I do think Welbeck's like their best striking option, like more so than Giroud. But yeah, I mean, their squad doesn't feel very strong. You can't pick out incredible players there. I mean, they've had a few injuries. Obviously, Wilshire's away on loan. He would have transformed it if he was there.
Sarcasm.
Yeah, a bit of sarcasm.
I got it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a feeling that this isn't going to be my score prediction, but I could see it just being a boring 0-0 game that both of them are kind of scared to lose, really. But yeah, I don't see Arsenal as a good squad. It's Ozil and Sanchez, and like everyone said, if Ozil turns up, because he's been awful recently.
Mostly, people I think probably agree with Ian. People are fairly confident. They also really want to win for the sake of Arsenal Fan TV. Seems.
Can I ask a question? In our best 11, would Ozil get into that team?
No,
I don't think he would.
No, not anymore. He would have done a season and a half ago, but no way.
I only think Sanchez would get into our team out of their team.
And Danny Welbeck.
We have to wrap this up.
Sorry, Dan.
Because other things have to be achieved today. So, really quickly, score predictions. Paul, go.
2-1 to Arsenal. Boo.
Oh, Paul. Ian.
Ooh, 1-0 United.
Way. Adam.
0-0.
1-1.
1-1.
I was going to go for 1-1. I'll go 4-4.
Yes!
I don't know how that's possible, but if it does happen, that'll be fun, won't it?
The one time we score 4 goals, we concede 4 goals.
No, because we'll be 4-0 down, and it'll be a wonderful comeback.
Didn't that happen?
We'll enjoy that. Okay, right, it's time to say goodbye. Thank you to everybody who's been in the comments and everybody else that's watched this. Let us know what team you would play, what you think the score will be, and, well, I don't know, any other thoughts you may or may not have about your life. We'll try and answer them. See you next time. Bye.